Satchel from Steel Panther. You're listening to Metal Stream Radio with Metal Matt, and he's totally naked from the waist down.
More and more as the album goes on, it goes more and more in the direction of our early days as the Spiders and the kind of music that in the days when Glenn was the only real musician in the band, and he was showing us how to play these certain types of three-chord progression songs and all of that. So the album keeps going along, and then about 2/3 of the way through, all of a sudden it just starts getting more and more Glenn Buxton, and I'm very proud of how we managed to do that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like he was definitely with you in spirit. That's great that the album kind of, you could feel the vibe, as it was coming along. He was a real legend. He's a fantastic player, and yeah, it's so good that you managed to capture that. The Alice Cooper fans of the original band are going to want to hear that, and that's great that you've managed to kind of capture that. And yeah, that must be really nice sort of experience to feel that, and for the music to go in that direction again. So do you have any kind of memories of kind of getting together and writing the songs? Was it hard picking the songs together? Were you all coming with different songs this time, or was it kind of organic? You kind of just went with the ones you felt, or was it quite difficult to pin it down, because you must have all come in with different material, I guess?
It was tricky to pin it down because it was overwhelming, the quantity of songs we had. We could have done 5 albums, but because we are all so collaborative, it's like none of us can say, okay, we're not going to do that song. That's not how we work. It's more like a majority rules, and then that's the direction we go. And once in a while, if there's some difference of opinion that looks like it's going to compromise us meeting the deadline of the studio time, then Bob Ezrin will maybe come in and make the final deciding vote, which that's fine with all of us. He's the producer. So there's never any contention among us. Sometimes people might, if they were walking by our rehearsal room or in the studio, they might think, oh my God, these guys are all screaming at each other. They must hate each other. And the things we're saying about each other. But our humor is put down humor, which doesn't translate to black and white in a book. It looks nasty if you don't specify that it's an LOL all the time.
Yeah.
But we're passionate about whatever each of us thinks is the best idea for that part of the song, and we're willing to debate it. And a lot of times, volume is one of the deciding factors.
Yeah.
But we never get personal. It's never like putting down the other person. It's putting down the idea that they might think is best.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I guess that's how band dynamics work with any band. You're going to have that element
of course,
sort of
that's collaboration.
Yeah.
If it was just me going in and it's my solo album and I have final say, okay, that's understood. But this is a collaboration, which has to be understood. You also have to know well enough about when a song sounds good, when a part sounds good, to not try to change it just because an idea popped into your head. And we all have that sensibility too after all of these years.
That's great. Yeah. And obviously you've got a new addition as well that's joined the band, someone who I spoke with a couple of days ago, and a lot of the Cooper fans are asking, who is this guy? They thought you might have got in, it's someone who's been playing guitar for many years, but you've went for a younger kind of musician. You're giving a younger guy a chance who's kind of got that same kind of energy as you guys, and he kind of fits in really perfectly. Jassy, can you tell me how that come about, and how it was actually working with him?
I saw your interview with Jossie. It was very good. In fact, that led to me jumping at the chance as soon as you reached out to me. Yeah, well, let's go back a little earlier. We've got like a lot of our demos, like Joe Bouchard from Blue Oyster Cult and Blue Coop, helped me with some of my demos, and Nick Dudkovsky and Russ Wilson on drum. And Neil had all of Rick Tedesco with him, and Rick Tedesco worked with me. So we had Rick Tedesco in the studio at this session I was just telling you about when we laid down all the basic tracks. But then we needed a couple more songs. At that point, we were all racking our minds for who we should get to play Glenn's part of what we needed for the music. Yeah. And everybody had their own ideas. Rick Tedesco came up, and I have a lot of friends that are excellent guitar players and great guys. So and then Michael had his ideas, and it started turning into, we had too many ideas, not even counting Alice saying, let's get Slash and all of that kind of stuff, all of that was great, except we decided, okay, we're going to have Rick Tedesco come in the studio with us, just because he knows some of the songs that Michael doesn't know, and that'll help us along. And Rick was great. He played on the bed tracks, and he played amazing lead part on a song, Blood on the Sun. But then when we needed a couple more songs, then Bob said, hey, there's this guy in Nashville, Jossie, everybody's telling me that's the guy you need to get. And this would settle it. Instead of you guys trying to get your own ideas in there, then I'll decide who this guy is, but only if it works. So like Jossie said on your show, he came in just kind of like to see how the fit was, and we laid down a couple of tracks, including a Yardbirds song, because Jeff Beck had just passed away at that point. And Yardbirds were our big heroes. Well, as it turns out, Jossie is a big Yardbirds fan as well. So we laid down I Ain't Done Wrong, and it was cooking. And so that went well. And then we laid down another track. I can't remember which one now, but we laid down 2 tracks that day. And not only were we able to communicate with him just like we would have with Glenn. In other words, Jossie's got he's a seasoned studio guy. He knows how that goes down. So there was no problem there. And on top of all of that, he's like the nicest guy in the world, so. He is, yeah. Okay, Neil and I are still thinking, well, I don't know, he doesn't sound like Glenn, but then we went to Jossie's live show that night. His band is great. They all have the look, and they all have the stage moves and everything. So we went to the show, and it opened with just Jossie sitting in a chair with a dobro guitar and an acoustic guitar and even an old cigar box guitar. Wow. And he's doing this deep Delta blues stuff. And we're like, what? Wow. Okay. I didn't know he did that, And so then after that set, Jossie goes in the back room, and then he comes out and it's all glammed out, and he really knows how to control the stage and put on a highly entertaining show. Yeah. And the band was great. So, and then they all came over to our table and hung out with us after the show, and it was great. So that was the clincher. Then Neil and I said, he's the guy, Bob's right. And most of what he does on the album, which is a lot, came after the fact. He was doing overdubs and stuff over what we had already done. I wasn't in the studio other than the 2 songs that Neil and I did in Nashville.
Hey, this is Satchel from Steel Panther. You're listening to Metal Stream Radio with Metal Matt, and he's totally naked from the waist down.